wonderful people. I'm Charlotte Shee. Most welcome to my channel. Today we'll talk about guilt. I don't think there's anybody on this beautiful planet that doesn't experience guilt somehow, somewhere, someday. And there's people with huge amounts of guilt leading into shame, leading into fear, leading into frustrations, leading into anger, and so much more. So, guilt has actually many underlying factors that may hurt us even more. So I deem it very important to truly deal with guilt, to take responsibility, and to allow yourself actually to have a new vision, a different perspective about what guilt does to you and how to solve it. And there's always solutions to everything. It just depends, about um, the experiences. It depends on what we really are dealing with. It depends on the situation. It depends on what we can consume mentally and psychologically. So, and that is very different for everybody, right? So, no single person in the whole wide world has the same amount of strength, the same amount of courage, the same amount of fearlessness to overcome guilt. Yet there is many ways to do so. However, what could we feel guilty about? We could feel guilty, for example, um, like disregarding family members, not calling them, not answering messages from friends, um, not letting our dog out as often as we do know we need to give that healthy vibe to our dog, not giving enough free spare um, investment or time to our children, um, not giving us the amount of exercise, healthy foods, and so on that we do know we need, all could lead to guilt. And so every measure is different. Another example would be, for example, we're at work, at the job, and we do know we did something wrong in administration or whatever, and all of a sudden we feel so ashamed because we know we knew better. And so that guilt starts on building and building, and then you get frustrated, angry if you don't, you know your way out or resolve that problem that you just experienced. But do know all the experience we have in life on the ladder of ascension matter to train you back into your true authenticity, your true power, your beauty. And so it is very important that we evaporate, delete, undo that guilt. That can be done, yes, and there's various techniques for it. And so because if we don't, some day or some situation will trigger that type of emotion in your body, that type of consciousness, because every experience we have in this life will be gathered in your big database in your brain. And where there's something that triggers a certain amount of frustration, anger, disagreement, name it, that may trigger that sort of guilt, and you start to expose a level of response to a situation you're not even part of, but that consciousness that was already embedded in your brain is what triggered it actually. And so you respond from one situation into another situation, making many things worse in which you were not part of in the first place. So, in order to get out of that, the best thing always to do is, first of all, recognize it, accept it, see it as it is. Do know you're a human, and we all, feel guilty at times. We can see it as a mistake, and there's no single human that never makes a mistake. We grow and we become more beautiful with the day in mental capacity, and that's about it. So, the moment you can accept your form of guilt, for example, there's many parents who realize at a certain age, I did wrong to my kid. I really did wrong to my kid, and now, I feel that guilt. I mean, I didn't give enough time, I didn't give the healthy foods, I wasn't present helping his in his education or in high school or whatever. There's so many layers that could have played out because I was too lazy or I never made time. I was concerned more with myself and all those things. So, and then that starts building and building and building. And then you see your son or daughter, running crazy in the world, not being okay mentally, emotionally. And you do know deep inside, part of this is due to your faults, your mistakes. And yeah, you need to repair them, because if you don't, you will feel bad the rest of your life. So the repairing consciousness on any levels, there's so many levels, is actually something we should not, in best scenario cases, escape. Please do never take any tranquilizers. Just accept it as it is, look at it, what it is, and then start the repair packages. And so there's many solutions. So here in that case, for example, I deem it very appropriate, for example, to talk to your children and, explain them how much it hurts, what you did wrong back then, and that it's giving you frustrations. And you need to express that it was wrong from your part. And you cannot imagine how much that heals you within just having that conversation and explaining how it should have been, right? So some sort of that. If you don't have the strength in doing that, then you have the option to always move into a meditational space. A meditational space in which you visualize the particular person you feel that particular item or thing of guilt with. And then you talk to them in your meditational space how you want to repair it, and how important it is to heal each other out from what happened that in that particular time period. And that is very, very healing, because those focus very deep in meditation can see the immediate reaction. It's like a snowball rolling, the reaction that comes back from that particular person. What is also a very easy technique and beneficial, that is like, for example, breathing through truly very, very potent red light in your heart, red light. And as you breathe out, you send hearts of light, geometries or patterns or a design to that particular person in that heart. So you breathe in and you feel your heart filled with red hearts or something else, doesn't really matter. And then you breathe out and you see those red hearts, in this case, flow into that heart. What you can experience at that particular moment is either way that person feels good, lays his hand over his heart or looks around, doesn't know what happened. Another thing that may happen is you may see that person reject that heart completely. That happens as well. Or you may see the in between, the neutral space actually, in which that person doesn't know what to do with it. So in each case, you can proceed to the first technique. This is just expressing yourself with short words and asking that person for answers, short words or questions rather. Okay, that is very, very potent. So acknowledging, accepting it for yourself, and choosing the solutions. So the easiest is always in meditation or in real person. Same way it goes to, we can get on the phone, talk to a particular person and tell them that you don't feel okay with this or that situation because you feel guilty and it should be this or that way. And when you apologize, that already heals, no matter how that person responds, because you already did what you had to do. You did the right thing. So don't be concerned what the outer world will bring to you. That doesn't matter at the moment that you respond, and you have taken responsibility for that level of guilt, right? Okay, so many people as well. I do know, I experience, like in my private sessions with clients. For those who are new to me, I bring out videos every day. So thank you for subscribing, liking. I entertain. I bring new items, new helpful ways to assist the transformation here with your mentality, psychology, physical items, anything that benefits your growth process in the ascension movement, which is growing very fast now. And so we grow together and build communities. So when we can express our level of guilt, then the guilt is already halfway healed. Okay, so let me know in the comments what level of guilt you suffer from, or if you deem it still very difficult to deal with that. So let me know so we can communicate and gather and find new solutions for that as well. I also have a lot of experience with people that tell me, like, I actually hardly have any connection with my family. Um, they actually never care about me, and I didn't even see them at Christmas time and stuff. And um, I'm talking about people I've been healing out for a long time and getting to know them very well. But then again, I said, first of all, they are so greedy. They just are so egotistical and only think about themselves. And I mean, you were in your bed for 6 weeks in the hospital. They didn't even visit you, not even during the turnaround of the year or during Christmas. So I asked her, it's time to delete your entire family because they will only be with you for the monies, right? And then she said, you're so wise. So I deleted from the gland reconstruction the guilt, the fear of leaving them behind. And then came, a level of shame. I mean, I'm releasing, and she felt it going and going. And when that goes out of the body, you see the truth of these people coming out of your body with that consciousness. You see the ugliness. You see, all the atrocities that were done to you. And then came the shame, and she said, I still didn't really move into action, like paperwork she had to handle and stuff. And then after 2 weeks, she said, I am completely ready. I feel so fit. They will never ever be able to touch me again. I'm tired of it. I've been suffering a lifetime from guilt and shame and fearing to delete them from my energy field. But it is the first time I truly feel free in 50 years. Imagine that. So that is what happens if you don't deal with guilt. And so she took the appropriate actions and she came alive. She took new courses. I mean, she's only in her 70s, fit like ever. And that is because um, those levels of guilt embedded loads of shame, and shame created frustration, and frustration creates diseases, and diseases create another level of fear, and on and on and on. You know, if we delete it, goes in the ground, and you eliminate yourself actually from that. So there's many stories. So on the other hand, we should be very grateful for those experiences because they matter. They matter in order, you know, to gain new perspective, to gain new insights, to understand certain aspects of your life in a better way. So I see them rather as beneficial. You know, I make mistakes every day, but I feel less and less and less guilty, or when guilt pops up, I immediately delete that with light technology in my glands, my glandular construction. There is where that guilt, you know, embeds, starts cycling, and you keep on thinking it, overthinking it, and not dealing with it. So another great way to deal with fear is simply asking for a code. That may be a letter, that may be a geometric pattern, that may be just working with color combinations like purple, black, and white is great. You breathe that in the pituitary gland, and command to delete that level of guilt. And each time you breathe out, you move it through your spinal column all the way into center earth. So make sure your feet are very much grounded on the earth. That's the way to do it. This is part of my work, what I do in healing sessions with clients. So there is an extreme level of fear as well. Um, if you deal with guilt, fearing yourself to deal with it, or fearing to reset a certain experience with other people, with friends, acquaintances, people on the job, and so on, and children. So here, find a way to eventually do that first in meditation, and then address the situation. Because if you can address the situation and eventually first deal with that pattern of fear of dealing with it, that's a first formula I would suggest. So for those interested, I am giving away a free meditation to deal with fear on multiple levels, once and for all, with a light code, so you can learn how quickly that works and delete a lifetime of fear. Actually, the link is in the description box, should you have interest. Other than that, please let me know in the comments, what is it that you truly want to deal with, and have some level of resistance, or some level of like, I cannot do it, you know. That is very acceptable. And so then we can grow there, because if we are honest with ourselves, and we recognize these levels of guilt, like I could have been doing a lot better in that or that situation, or I many times when I'm in a conversation with friends or having a drink or something, I come home, and it's every time I hit my brain, I could have said this and that and that. It's not particularly so much guilt, but guilt in a way, let's say, like I didn't say enough, like I knew I could add much more to the conversation, for example. And because I'm pretty detailed at times, so I feel guilty, like I'm not detailed enough. and I could have given more. But do know, people can only consume as much as they can at a certain point in time. So another uh, level of dealing with is, first and foremost, respect yourself. You don't have to forgive yourself. If you accept it and you have the courage and strength to move through it, it will delete. Forgiveness is very old. It's a very old world and doesn't pertain particularly in this modern day world. In this modern day world, we go through it. We tell it like it is because it's the only way to heal ourselves, to heal our heart, to heal our body, to heal our consciousness. And in the end, everything needs to move together. So if you have any issues then I would like to hear that. Let me know that in the comments down there. And thank you so much for those new here and for subscribing on my channel. And then again, what is it doing? What does your level of guilt, or many levels of guilt, do with your life? It may make you lazy. What it may do is also that you fear dealing with it, that you are hiding it in your subconsciousness levels. And whenever, like I said before, when there's a situation that triggers, that anger around that particular experience with guilt, then you start to speak out to people that were not involved in the first place. So they, that creates situations of discomfort and malfunctioning on some level, as we are here to heal together and to support each other. At least that is what I love doing. So feeling guilty, and in the first place, be glad you had the experience. Secondly, nobody is going to take that experience from you, and you can learn from it because it's the only way for growth and strength and courage and becoming that person that you are, um, like where you feel at ease and peace with yourself, right? And that is actually all we need to do, because some people feel guilty. I've eaten too much, I've eaten animal foods, and I've been on my phone too much or on social media, and I know it. Okay, cut that cord. I'm going to delete my too much on these lower levels. I command it out of my body. This is a situation whether uh, with yourself. So guilt can come from dealing with the outside world, outside forces and people, or it can come from within, what you do to yourself. So guilt towards self. And that is actually easier to heal, right? Because you can take on a new structure in your life and repair it, and talk to yourself and let your higher self know that you're going to take responsibility for it, and that you're going to change that situation around. So in this case, I could suggest to simply, like, if you have one bad day with plenty levels of guilt, that happens, you're lazy, you're on the couch, you watch TV, you're on your cell phone with your social media and all that stuff, you eat bad food, you haven't been out, no exercise, and you feel sluggish, right? So what you can do is, that is, I think, very, very potent. You go back into each hour of the day. So, for example, you start at 9 o'clock. What did you do between 9 and 10 in the morning? And if that is like connected to a guilty feeling, you inverse that situation how you would like to see it. Like if you didn't do anything but being on social media, then eventually visualize that between 9 and 10 you Yeah, you were supporting and motivating great people around in the hood, for example. Did a good job. I'm just giving an example. And then you go from 10 to 11. How could you turn around that situation from 11 to 12? And so on until you've done the entire clock. That is very, very potent because if you turn around each situation that was guilt into a positive, healing, motivational, inspirational situation, then that is what your brains will take over. And so the healing is very potent because you remember the positive side effects and not the guilt anymore. So that is a way of overriding it. So let me pull a card for this guilt syndrome we all have, but we deal with it every day, and so we become beautiful as we always have been. So that's from the I Am Faculty card, the I Am Presence. Wise mentor coach for modern day ascension. That is what I work through every day. And yeah, I truly hope you like my interactions as I want to grow on YouTube with you and eventually grow worldwide in order to bring to the repair with everything that has broken us. So I've talked about it for those who know me in a lot of videos. So let's see what happens here. I am one with my inner guidance. How touching, isn't it? Spirit self. So your spirit self, your spark self that communicates. That is number 18, making up 9, making up the eternal spiral, right? So that most meaning you, if you remove guilt, like instantly when it pops up through various techniques, you see the pink bird. No, these are pink spirits actually, and these are golden black waves of lights moving through your spirit consciousness, which is very, very potent. So let's see what it has to say. Number 18. Um, yeah, at times I just like that take, as I've written the book myself, made the cards for my art card. So as that is very, very exceptional to meet up with. Like it's connected to the element air, and air evaporates from the body. It can do that if we breathe beyond the matrix and the crystalline light degrees or grids, if you want. So the more I look at this card, the more spirits I can see. Ooh, wowie. It's an endless inspirational card because it has all the elements in place. Ain't that something when dealing with guilt and actually fear? So a spiral is oftentimes symbolic for spirit, yet spirit is hardly understood on the planet when not generated in the body beyond the control of the ego. So spirit has the energetic substance that rises intelligence, and above the intuitive factor as spirit self becomes the very air that you breathe. So your spirit is actually how your consciousness works, where you get your inspiration from and your aspiration, and that works together with the many levels of your higher selves when integrating that. So the inner psyche, if you will, is the essence that speaks through your spirit. So definitely listen to your inner voice, knowing that it is mandatory to release the guilt, to release the experience, replace it, or take action and talk, communicate it out with the person that was involved in that situation. And that's a great way. Because without spirit in the body, people have the tendency to actually always recycle and copy information from other people. So what we witness today is actually how fast the intelligent factor is going backwards. So when we delete essences through our breathing system, spirit, the air, right? When we breathe out, we release it. So, and reason for this is essentially that living in the matrix and actually the captivity of the soul has been programmed to not think, or to think on a very poor standard, to have no possible options to undertake actions because that old mechanic of control and manipulation. So with the fast movement of awakening that is currently going on, people start to realize and want to realize self in order to become real, which is the ultimate deal between self and source. Become real, that is your ultimate deal. Becoming real is deleting everything in the old world. So I hope that inspires you. Actually, I love that. And also, if you want, many people are very much connected to the animal kingdom because they are sweet guidance. They listen and they inspire, and they guide you on a certain path as well. If we are present enough to do the work of simply listening to the air that they breathe to us or bring to us. So, wow. I have here an animal connected to the delete button of guilt, if I may express it that way, which is the white stag, the protector. Beautiful, isn't that beautiful? So you're always protected. You are an old soul. Your best friend is nature, the air. Breathe the air in and out, get it out. Use your intuition to take you where you need to go in a certain situation. That is very much to the point, right? So, and awaken to the the powerful forces within you. And you are meant to create with your magic. So you may have, from what I came to say, multiple ideas of how to delete, eliminate, evaporate, or deal with that particular experience of guilt. And so also there's maybe also many people who experience a too large a level of guilt, and so here it may be a necessity to eventually, have a good conversation with a good coach or a therapist or anything, and have that gone from your vibes, and so you can communicate the level of stress and frustration that comes with it, because I do know there's many people who find that very, very difficult. And once the level of frustration and stress is out, then we can automatically delete that guilt button, right? No tranquilizers, dealing with it, and remaining on a good platform with the new you, because release brings relief. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. And yeah, let's see how that functions, what it does to you, to your environment, and to your life eventually. Thank you so much for subscribing, being with you, and love to see you in my next video tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.